Alright, so I'm going to be showing us how to create age groups on Microsoft Excel using VLOOKUP. I'm going to be using the column for customer age. Basically, you do groups for dates because in a data set you can have as many as a lot of dates as possible on a particular column, and you don't want to be found plotting so many like a long chart or a long line chart and all. So what you do is basically you group them, the age group together and plot something. So for the age analysis that we are doing here, I would like to plot a chart where I have the age group between 0 to 19 years, 20 to 29 years, 30 to 39 years, 40 to 49 years, 50 to 59 years, 60 years and above. So on the Excel sheet, you could actually do this in two ways. I will show you the two ways that we can actually do this. The first way to actually do this is actually bringing in today's date. Then we'll minus today's date from the customer age to get the current customer age. So let me just explain by doing this practically. So this is our customer age. The column after customer age, I click on it, I highlight from the top, I click and I click insert. When I click insert, I have a new column here. So what I do is that I bring in the function for today on Excel sheet. The function for today on Excel sheet is equal to today. That's equal to today. I click this function because it's out already and I close this. So what happens is that today's date comes out. So the next thing for me to do is to minus or subtract today's date from customer age to get the customer age in days. So what I do here is that I also click on insert to get a new column, and I click on my equal to sign here and I click on today's date minus the customer age to get his age for today. However, as you can see, what is coming out here is not looking good. And by the time I decided to convert this into numbers, I'm getting something very wrong. It's not possible for someone born in 2010 to be 3,622 days today. So basically, this tells me that the way the data has been arranged here, there's some we have some faults on it, and maybe the data is actually dirty. So what I do now is that I have to go through like the second method of actually getting this right. So what I do is that because I need a lot of space to work with, I'm going to be increasing this my space into as much spaces as possible. So I have like 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm inserting more pages, like 6 pages, because what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to separate this customer age into different chunks. So the first stage is I'm going to click on customer age and I will convert customer age to short date. So when I finish doing this, the next stage is to click on customer age and click on data. When you go to data, you click on text to columns. Text columns. So under text to columns, you have delimited and you have fixed width. So I would rather go with fixed width. Reason is because my data is very dirty and I only want to capture the year, because I would like to take the year for the customer age, and I would like to deduct it from today's date. So what I do is that to make things easy for me, I click on fixed width and I click on next. So when I come to the next page, what I do is that I try to impute um arrow breakers on this thing. So they call it the break line. So I will make sure that the slash, wherever slash is where I'm putting my break line on. So I have a slash here, so I'm going to put my break line on this place. That's before the 0. Then I have another slash here. I'm going to put it after the 3 so it can capture the year with it. I would have decided to click in maybe after click this break line after the slash, but because data is dirty, we don't want to take any chances, so I'd rather do it before the year. Then I'll click on the last data point for this data, which is the 0, 2010, 6, 7, etc. Once I'm done with that, I just click on next and finish. So I click on OK. So I have something like this. So what happens is that it has split my data into 3 different parts. As you can see, this data is very, very dirty. So, but it's a good one. We've been able to move from where we were to something that looks like we can work with. So the next stage for me now is to work with, because this is what I need, this particular place. However, don't forget that it's still on the age format. When I go home, I check my date format. This thing is still on age format. You have to convert this column to numbers. If you decide that you want to work with this like this, you will start having issues. You will get wrong figures. So what I do is that I click on my new year, that's customer age, which is the year now, and I convert it to number. I convert it to number. After converting it to number, yes, you can now remove this slash. If you remove the slash without before converting it to number, you will get something wrong. So that means you have to do this process before converting it into, before removing the slash rather. So after I've converted this column to number, the next stage for me now is to remove the slash. So what I do is that I click on this column. Make sure that this column is clicked because that's the column you're working with. And I click on Control F. Control F. Control F means control find. So when I click on Control F, this is what comes out. Once this comes out, the next stage is to click on replace. So what I want to do is I want to replace this slash with nothing. So what I do is that on this find what, I type in my slash as it appears on my sheet. Then I replace with, I said I want to replace with nothing. So there's no need for me to put anything here. Then I click on replace all. When I do replace all, it's going to an information comes up, all done. We made 4,990 replacements, and I click on OK and close. When I close, this is what I have. So as you can see, it has like 2 decimal points. I don't need that. So what I do is that I come to this place. This place is under home, under number. So I click on this arrow facing the decrease decimal side, and I click on it twice to remove those 2 zeros. And I have my year, customer. So I can now rename that place as customer birth year, and I can delete these 2 other tables that were created from the first point when we wanted to separate the date data. So I have something like this. For me to get what the customer's age can actually be for today, I can introduce today's year or current year, which is 2020, to my data. So I have 2020 year and replicate same. All right, this is showing me dates. Make sure that it's in numbers. So let me show what I just did there for some of us that we like to always know what I did. So I have my current here, and I've typed in 2020 here. So to replicate this to other columns, I'll just simply, can you see this edge? I'll just click on this edge, this box, the edge. I'll just double click on it. When I double click, it replicates itself down towards the last data point. The next stage now is for me to deduct, to get the age, current age of customer. I have to deduct the current year from the customer birth year. So what I do is that I click on my equal to sign here, 2020 minus 2010, and I click on enter. Sorry, this thing is still showing dates because when I decided to insert the columns, I didn't convert. It was the age column, so it didn't convert. So I'm just going to convert everything to age, to number rather. So I've converted. What I just did was that I picked all these columns and I came here. I moved it from date to number. So as you can see, it's still showing me two decimal places. I can remove it from the decimal, decrease decimal. So when I do this, I can now replicate same by clicking the edge, and I have the age range of all my customers. So I'm going to be working with this column. But because I know this column was created using a formula, there's something I can do to it. So I can just click on this column, right click, copy, and paste. Paste by clicking 1, 2, 3. So now all the formulas are off. I need to increase this space. I'll be needing them. So the next stage now is to create my age range. To create my age range. Now I have age and I want to create an age range of 0 to 19 years, 20 to 29 years, 30 to 39 years, 40 to 49 years, 50 to 59 years, 60 years and above. Some of us might want it to be smaller rather than 0 to 19. You want to do 0 to 29, depending on what you want. But this is how I want my data to look like, or rather the age range I would prefer to see on my own data set. So when you do this, the next trick is to, by your left hand side, you pick the first range on the range that you've created. When I say the first range, that means it's 0, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. That is what is going to be on the left hand side of what you created. So I have my 0 year. The next one is 20. So I type in my 20. The next is 30. Please note what I'm looking at: 0, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. 40, 50, and 60. So the next stage is to introduce the VLOOKUP. The VLOOKUP has to be introduced in front, preferably in front of a column in front of the age that we'll be working with, age column where we're going to be working with. So, and I've typed in something here, so I can just highlight that place and insert so that I can have this column empty for me. I hope we have it on numbers. Yes. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to rename this as age range. Now, the next stage for me is to create the VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP is created as this. You type in your equal to sign here. You type in VLOOKUP. As you're typing it, this is coming out. The first things first, lookup value. I want to look up this column value, but you are not picking the column. You just pick the first figure on that column, which is 10. So when you do VLOOKUP and you bring it up, just click on it. There's no need for you to type it. Click on it. You have your G2, comma, table array. Your table array is what we just created here. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to pick my table array from the point of creation to the end of creation. You can't do more and you can't do less. If you do more, it's going to pick what it's not supposed to pick and input it into your data set. That means you have some empty sets. And if you do less, there are some data sets that will not be covered. So table array starts from my 0 to 19 years to 60 to 60 years and above. When I'm done with that, I put in the comma sign, and the next is the column index. The column index. So the column index refers to the column that I would like my range to be, or the column where my range is, or where I have decided to uh or how I've decided to rename my columns. So this is where my column index is. This is what I want the age range to look like, and it's on column 2. This is column 1. This side containing 0, 20, 30, 40, 60 is column 1. This other side containing the range is column 2. So I just put in my 2 there. After that, I put in my comma, and I want an approximate match. An approximate match, not an exact match, because I'm dealing with range. So I click on true. Immediately I click on my 2 and comma, something like this comes out, and I click on 2. When I click on 2, I close my VLOOKUP. To be sure that you're doing the right thing, you can as well click enter, but VLOOKUP sometimes can be funny. If you just click enter, there are some data sets that might not just pick from that second column. So the best way to go around such is that when you have done your VLOOKUP, after you have come up with your formula, and as you can see on this page, what you can do is that you can just come back here after your first code, which is your G2, after the comma, under your table, for your table array, this table array, um you can bring in your dollar sign just to be sure that everything is fine. So before your the first table, that is the first column, which is I put a dollar sign there, and before the number where this table is situated, I put a dollar sign there. I will do that for the next table array, which is J. The first table array is high, the second is J. So I put my dollar sign before the J and before the numbers, where the numbers are being situated. Yes. So when I'm done with that, I click on enter. When I click on enter, I have my age range. So like I told you, you can as well click at the edge so it can replicate itself to other data sets. As you can see, we now have the age range data. Once we are done with that, you click on this age range column, because this thing is still under a formula. If you remove this right now, the whole VLOOKUP that you have done it's going to scatter. So, and you don't want it to look like that. It's going to. So what you're going to do is that you click on this age range, you right click, you copy, you right click again, and you paste as 1, 2, 3. So now you have removed every form of formula on this. So you have an age range table. You can as well delete other empty tables that you are not using again, and you have your column for age range. So that means that you can now do an analysis of the customer age by sales. You can even just do an age analysis, just like the way I did gender, where I replicated gender to another column. I had gender 1, gender 2. You can have age range 1 and age range 2, just to have a count of the total number of um customers between a particular or within a particular age buying specific products. But right now, I'm not going to do that. What I'm just going to do is simply the sales, the total sum of sales that each age range has made for that period. So what I'm going to do, just as we've been doing, I click on this place to highlight all my data sets, and I insert my pivots as we've been doing previously. Once all the table range is selected, I come here. My data has age range. I will just drag and drop to rows, and I go to sales, product supermarket sales. I drag and drop to value. So I have age range by supermarket sales, which I can copy and paste as 1, 2, 3. I can as well remove the blank and grant, remove my row label. Then I have uh, sum of sales by age range. When I do this, I can just easily plot a pie chart or even a bar chart. Whatever chart I want to plot, I can plot this right now. Or even a donut. This is a donut. This donut looks good. Data labels. That's a lot on data labels. More options. I can just do the percentage, just like what I did on the first video that I sent. Um, and my legend by the side, left or the right side, depending on how I want it to look like. And I can also replot this graph on a bar chart. So depending on what you want it to look like, you have something like this. You can even have, if you like to plot it as a tree map, you can go on and on to plot your charts in different charts formats. In search chart, there are so many charts here that you can use. Try your hands on everything, and definitely you'll be able to bring out some insights. Already, I am seeing that the age range between 30 to 39 years are the ones contributing the more when it comes to sales for Mr. Chukwudi stores. So that speaks to something. What are the recommendations and the wisdom that you advise Mr. Chukwudi to take in respect to this particular age range? Are people are living around that store? Are they around this age range, or we are just doing more of the sales that we are doing basically is just a min a, compared to what we could have done is just a small chunk. There are so many questions to be asked. I wish you the best as you try your hands on this, and thank you for listening. Have a great day.